We made it. We're finally here to the last chapter of Shelly. Before I begin reading, I want to thank those who watched through to the end. I certainly know that there wasn't a lot of you, and going into this, I wasn't expecting huge numbers. It's one of those things where it's not gonna get you the engagement, right? But I was hoping to give y'all an opportunity to connect with my book, to listen to it on the go. I don't have an audio version on Audible or anything right now, but we have this. So thanks once again for whoever is out there watching this and following along. I appreciate it, and I hope you've enjoyed the book so far. Of course, as always, if you like the video, subscribe, because we're not stopping here. We're gonna continue on. We're gonna go back to reading those blog posts, do some more interactive stuff. I do have some plans in place. And now let's finally finish reading Shelly. Wow. We're at the end. This has been like my whole year. Oh wow. Chapter 20. Ellipsis. It's not called Ellipsis, but it is as the title. At the airport, Maxwell walked with Savannah and Shelly to their gate. He explained the difficulties that had delayed his response the night they had planned to go clubbing, and apologized for letting his phone die and him acting stupid for not paying close enough attention. "You're not stupid," Savannah said, "but you totally abandoned us, and that wasn't cool." I know. He wrung his hands. "Whatever, it's in the past." Sighing, Savannah threw her arms out. "This weekend was crazy, and we don't need to deal with anything else. Consider yourself forgiven." "Look, that's messed up you had such a bummer time with your mom. But I'm gonna make stuff up to you. You'll see." "Oh yeah? How you gonna do that if I'm not in New York?" Savannah said. "I have your number, don't I?" He bit his lip. Nodding her head, Savannah took in Maxwell in his uniform. Slim navy pants, tied in the back, tucked in white button-up, tight on the chest. She smiled. Shelly's sister sure had a way of saying yes. "Sweet," he said. "I'll text you." Maxwell walked a few steps away, waving goodbye when Savannah spoke out. "Call me." "Deal," Maxwell shouted back. He turned around and Savannah held onto her carry-on handle, watching him walk. A few seconds later, her excitement spread as she grinned at Shelly. Regardless of her first impressions, the contagion of her sister's genuine beaming smile spread, and Shelly felt happy about Savannah's newfound friend, however long that would be his title. "Want to get a donut?" Savannah pointed to a coffee stand near their gate. The thought of eating one made Shelly sick, and a part of her wanted to lean on the habit of making a vague excuse about why she couldn't. "I'm not hungry," or "donuts aren't my thing." It would be easy, but if she could tell her sister about her mom, she could tell her sister about this. "I would, but eating that kind of stuff messes with my head. Makes me feel not great," Shelly said. "Not great like a stomach ache, or not great like you're guilty?" "Guilty. I have to be really careful with what I eat. No sugary foods, no junk food. Otherwise it freaks me out, like I'll gain a bunch of weight. It's my way of trying to be healthy." Savannah sat down in one of the chairs, Shelly following her lead. "Totally. I get that. My therapist has been helping me get over my eating disorder." "I didn't know you had an eating disorder. You seem like you're okay." "I'm a lot better," Savannah said. "But you never know what's going on in here." She pointed to her head. "And in there." She pointed to one of the bathrooms. "I'm finding the balance. Maybe you should talk to someone too. I have a book about eating disorders if you want, or I can show you some of the accounts I follow." Eating disorder. Shelly hadn't thought of her particularness with food like that. She had framed it as wanting to be as healthy as possible, while of course obtaining an unnecessary, thinner figure. "I don't know if mine really counts," she said. "I still eat at every meal, although sometimes it's like an apple and granola bar, if I've eaten something unhealthy earlier. But I don't starve myself or make myself puke. I'm just very specific with what I can eat. It's up to you. Sometimes being particular can suck the life out of someone." A lot of things had sucked the life out of her that year. Restraining herself around food hadn't helped her energy in the long run. No burst of satisfaction from starvation lasted long enough to block out the draining feeling that she wasn't good enough. "It can get tiring." Shelly's dampened voice mimicked her body language. Savannah stared ahead as she talked, constantly watching yourself in the mirror, weighing yourself every day, not looking like you want to or weighing like you want to and having it ruin your mood. Using photos to analyze how your body's changing, avoiding all sugar and carbs, things that people actually need, apparently. Apparently. Maybe that's why she never had energy. Actually. Holy crap. No wonder I always feel like crap. Laughing, Savannah glanced at her sister. "You'd be amazed how much your mental health improves when you're eating enough food. But I know it's hard. It's not fun to deal with this, even without the puking or starving." The words pounded in Shelly's chest as she thought them over. She did a lot of the things Savannah mentioned, and they made her miserable. Maybe Savannah was right. Maybe she had an eating disorder. Some minor form of one. "I guess I could look into it if you want to send me one of those books." Shelly said. Sure. Savannah stood up. I'm going to go get a donut. You want one? As silly as it seemed, she couldn't make herself for lunch yet. A donut felt like a leap ahead from where she was. Still, she wanted to show the conversation had an effect on her. Will you see if they have any small muffins? Blueberry. Once Savannah returned with a coffee and donut for herself and a blueberry muffin for Shelly, they relaxed and talked about their excitement to get home. On their first flight, both fell asleep. During their layover, Savannah watched a show while Shelly sketched in a notepad and let her thoughts linger at the back of her head. As she drew, she outlined the face and hair of a person a few seats down. Half a nose, an eye. She had finished outlining the other side of the face when the speaker announced their group's boarding. She flipped the cover over and placed the pad back in her bag. In a few hours, they were flying over smaller city lights and then they were home. Shelly tried not to complain when they had to wait for Savannah's luggage. Neither had known the trip wouldn't last longer than a couple of days. Suitcase after suitcase dispensed onto the baggage carousel. It didn't help that they were on a full flight. Too many people had checked bags. A groan rested at the back of Shelly's throat. She didn't want to wait. She wanted to get back to John. Someone who chose to love her, even now, after knowing the past she had hidden from him for too long. They needed to sit down and talk at some point, sort out where they were at with their relationship, considering all the recent events, and how they would move forward. But she knew that in the moment she saw him, none of that would matter. All that would matter was they were back together again. They could figure everything out together. A cream-colored, hard-shelled suitcase slid onto the carousel. There it is, Shelly said. Like a horse in a race, everything around her became black. She had one focus, getting the suitcase and getting out of the airport. She moved faster than she had in months, which is why she was only one step away from the luggage when she heard Savannah say, "That's not mine." Shelly's fist came down to her side as she tried not to scream. Ready to let out her frustration, she whipped around. Savannah smirked with her head tilted. "You're ridiculous," Shelly said as she faced the carousel again and tracked down the luggage that was most definitely her sister's. They laughed as they left. Shelly didn't hesitate to threaten her sister with sleeping on the couch. Savannah laughed harder and said it would probably be more comfortable than her air mattress. The forced patience fled when Shelly saw John pulling his car up to the curb. 3 other cars were parked in front of his. In the fastest, shakiest movements that she could, Shelly jogged to her husband, bag hitting her hip. Twice she tripped and rebalanced herself. John had hardly left the car by the time she had started running, but his strides stretched so far out that he ended up meeting her halfway. Removing the bag from her shoulders and placing it on the ground, he embraced her in a hug. "Welcome back," he said. Neither wanted to let go, and they didn't. Talking into his shoulder, Shelly kept tears back as long as she could. "I'm sorry. I tried. I really tried." A small whine escaped as Shelly cried. "It's not your fault. Hey, you did it. You tried. Maybe one day you can try again." John shook his head. Way in the future. But for now, you're home. You're with me. You're safe." John kissed her forehead and kept Shelly close. When they released, they saw Savannah had made it to the car. John jogged over to the Corolla and opened the trunk, offering to lift her suitcase in. Once they had everything, and everyone packed in, they drove home. 2 days later, Savannah left. "Maybe I should visit Provo more often," she had said. "I wouldn't mind that. Could be fun," Shelly said. "Let me know if you see any apartments I could live in. Might even be fun to move closer. I'm getting pretty tired of St. George anyway. I'll let you know. Call you on Sunday? Talk to you then." They hugged goodbye and then Savannah was gone. The rest of the week passed with little mention of the New York incident. Neither Shelly nor John brought it up, an unspoken agreement to take a break from any taxing topics. Deborah had not texted either of her daughters, whether because of their request or because of her anger. No one knew. Both Shelly and John preoccupied themselves with classes, especially Shelly, who had a lot of painting to get back to. On the next Sunday morning, a week after her arrival home, Shelly and John woke up at the same time. When Shelly said that she wanted to talk, they propped their pillows against the wall and sat up. Much had happened, and while she wanted to choose her words carefully, Shelly needed to practice just talking about what was happening on the inside. She released her thoughts. "I think you need to talk to people. Not that I don't do that, but I kind of don't. Not completely. So much has happened that I don't know what to say." A prickling pestered the back of her head, but she persisted. "I'd rather forget it all, if I could, but I can't. It's affected me, and I can't change that. But you were right when you said that I should have told you, about the abuse and stuff." Prickling. "And I should have told more people about the miscarriage and everything. I think telling people would have helped. I might not have felt so alone." Air flew in past her lips and she held it in her lungs. Releasing it, she waited in case there was an interruption or disagreement, but none arose. "So I'm going to talk to people," she continued. "You, my friends, some of my family, and a professional. Savannah mentioned that she's been seeing a therapist, and I think it would be good for me to do that too." Shelly reached toward the unnerving sensation at the back of her neck. Her fingers stayed, felt the bumps from scabs and scars. Her hand dropped. but I can't do it like this anymore. I can't keep this stuff to myself. I need help. John put his arm around Shelly, smoothing the hair on the nape of her neck. Then we'll get you what you need. I think you're making a good decision. Things will change. I promise. You think it will make a difference? A real one? Surely, Shelly, it will. I don't know a lot, but you don't need to be alone. I don't care if you're not perfect. Savannah, Brandon, your friends, they don't care if you're not perfect. A soft mutter was all Shelly could give. Thanks. You can trust us. We'll find you the right therapist. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. Shelly kissed John on the cheek. Okay, this will work. This will work. Letting go, Shelly's hand rubbed against John's cotton shirt. A few breaths passed. Her nose brushed John's cheeks as he turned her face upward to him. Want to go get some brownies? Laughing, John said, Let me change. She held him back. Let's go like this. In our pajamas? John slipped off the bed and lifted Shelly up onto her feet. You wild woman. His body laid onto hers, pressing her back against the bed. Their lips met and teased one another until their kissing threatened to interrupt their outing. Almost reluctantly, they left their bedroom, slipped on their shoes, and stepped into the daylight. As she closed the door, Shelly said, And maybe we should get some Pop-Tarts, too. End of book. Wow. I mean, there's an about the author section, but y'all knew that. MRC grew up in Orem, Utah, and Omaha, Nebraska. She lives in Utah with her corgi, Hope. She is the creator of the blog Read MRC and hosts a YouTube channel, hey guys, where she talks about her psychology-centered blog posts. She hopes to continue helping others through the written word and other means. You can expect more of her books to be published in the near future. And if you've seen my shorts, you do know that a sequel to Shelly is coming out in 2026. And I'm really excited to share it with you guys because Shelly's story is not done. Once again, seriously, thank you for watching. You, right there. I appreciate it. I really do. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your hour, whatever's going on. I wish you the best. And it's been a wild ride, but we finally finished the book. I hope you tune in for my blog posts, but until next year, there will be no more book content. So for now, we're tuning out of this world. I guess there's nothing left to say except bye.